The Emiratis love festivities and festivals. They love festivities because they love fun and joy, like everywhere else. But their love of festivals is for much more serious reasons. International festivals have brought them international attention, prestige, and an impression of progressiveness. Earlier this year, the Emiratis hosted, with their deep pockets and much enthusiasm, the world-famous Hay Festival. The organizers hoped that the event would promote freedom of expression and women's rights in the UAE and other Arab countries in the region, which are not usually known for either. When the festival ended, the organizers said they would never come back to the country.
الحادث اللي حدث مؤلم جدا لجميع السعوديين.
In February 2020, the Hay Literary Festival was held on a very different stage, Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates. For months, Caitlin McNamara had been preparing the event in cooperation with the UAE Ministry of Tolerance, headed by Sheikh Nahyan bin Mubarak Al Nahyan. On February 14th, a few days before the inaugural ceremony, the 69-year-old minister called Caitlin directly for the first time and asked her to come for what she supposed would be a working dinner. She had already raised the case of Ahmed Mansour, a well-known poet sentenced to 10 years for social media posts. Caitlin thought it might be about him and the upcoming festival, so she accepted the invitation. Months later, she told the British television program Channel 4 News about the ordeal she went through that night. The Sheikh's driver took her to a remote private island villa. Caitlin soon realized it was not a working dinner.
I was led inside by a doorman. There was photographs of Nahyan with the Pope, with the Rolling Stones, all of this very impressive stuff that for me just highlighted how important and influential this man is. He greeted me with a hug and he started touching my, arm, leg, encouraging me to take my shoes off. And that's when it suddenly dawned on me what was happening. It clicked that I was in this, kind of immense concrete and glass villa on an island with checkpoints, without my phone on me.
Because they'd taken the phone?
Yeah, my handbag had been taken off me at the door. So I was just trying to find, go through in my head all the ways that I could clearly communicate to him that his attention was unwanted without jeopardizing my safety or the festival.
That night, things went from bad to worse.
I was pushed down onto a bed or sofa, and he hooked up his kondora and was naked and lay on top of me with his weight. It's terrifying. I couldn't breathe, and at that point I was pulling my dress down. I was wearing a sort of long dress, and I was pulling it down to stop his hand going up my dress, but he put his hands inside me and was lying with his whole body weight on me, like forcefully kissing me. He was very frenzied, so I knew that it would get worse and that I had to do something, even if I was terrified of upsetting him. It only stopped when this other man came into view, so the Sheikh stopped when he came into view.
Somehow, Caitlin managed to get out of the villa. She told her boss at the Hay Festival what had happened. According to Caitlin, Nahyan tried to call her 14 times after she was assaulted. 2 days later, the sheikh sent her a text as she was about to report her allegations to the British Embassy in Dubai. He followed the message up with another message on February 18th.
The reality that the princes in United Arab Emirates are escaping the country and trying to find refuge somewhere else prove how much the women are abused and are oppressed in the country. Although the authorities try to promote things such as women's rights, such as appointing some women in high-profile jobs, but the women in the United Arab Emirates are still discriminated, are still not enjoying all their rights, and still being abused and oppressed.
Caitlin McNamara fled the UAE on February 23rd. The Hay Festival Abu Dhabi went ahead without her 2 days later. Sheikh Nahyan went on stage, was applauded for something Caitlin had built, and lauded for something in reality he represented the opposite: women's rights. On March the 2nd, Sheikh Nahyan later texts McNamara in what seems to be the final attempt to persuade her to return. In an exclusive interview with the Sunday Times, McNamara said, "What Sheikh Nahyan had done affected everything. My personal relationships. I split up with my longtime boyfriend, my family, my friends, my work. Not only had I lost my job, but I also couldn't imagine ever working again in the Middle East. I can't go back to the UAE, but even the whole Arab world."
The Emirati laws and regulations do not allow women to stand up for themselves, do not allow women to speak up for themselves, or to speak publicly, or to sue the men or their the abusers. The laws and the way that the Emirati authorities deal with the women who are subjected to sexual assaults in particular oblige most of the Emirati women, or most of the women, even the foreigners who may be subjected to such a thing inside the United Arab Emirates, oblige these women to stay silent. Otherwise, they might be referred before trial, or they might be punished instead of taking the rights.
A medical report seen by the Sunday Times says Caitlin is suffering severe PTSD as a result of the incident. She says repeated panic attacks in the night have left her barely speaking. Baroness Helena Kennedy, QC, a leading voice on women's rights, says, "For a man who is a leading minister of his nation to grossly violate a woman who is there to organize a major cultural event is criminal. The UAE should sack him immediately, but I suspect that will not happen. His family owns the country." Scotland Yard is investigating the Nahyan sexual assault case, but the question is, can it prosecute a person from the fourth richest royal family in the world? The Sheikh's lawyer has issued an official denial of the allegations, and the Sheikh still casts himself as a progressive figure.
Our definition of tolerance is the respect of others. And our definition of tolerance is to understand others, to talk to each other, at the same time keeping our own differences.